The sunshine's calling me. I got a cold drink and a book in my hand. It must be summertime. If you're new here, I'm Rian, a Christ-following wife and a homeschool mom to 3 boys. Here we talk all things homeschool, and we will learn together how to use our roles as wife, mom, teacher, and homemaker in order to glorify God. So a lighter school load for us means more reading time, and my kids and I could not be more excited, especially my oldest son and I. But it's a time of year that we all love, and so here is what is on the menu for this summer. For our read alouds, this is going to be the Summer of Continued series. We have 4 series that we have started, and I would like to obviously not finish up all of them because unfortunately the summer is only so long. However, I would like to just continue in them. Now, the reason why we've started 4 different ones isn't just because we don't like them and we don't want to finish them. It's because we kind of get bored going through one series all the way through. I don't so much, but my kids do. And so we'll read one book from one series and then move on to another book from another series and then go back to the other one, and they like it better that way. So the 4 series that we will be continuing are The Wing Feather Saga by Andrew Peterson. Super whimsical. It is a good fantasy series where you see bits of the gospel reflected all throughout the story. Then, of course, the classic Little House on the Prairie series. We've made it through the long winter, and so we will be moving on through that. And we've also started the Green Ember series, which we've been listening to audio in the car a lot. So that just may always just be playing as our car book until we finish the series. But it is also pretty whimsical, kind of fantasy. It has a lot of good values and good character traits just exhibited throughout. And my boys really enjoy all the action and adventure in it. And then last but definitely not least, another classic, The Chronicles of Narnia. We've read the first one and we want to move on with that series as well. Can't really go wrong with C.S. Lewis. And my boys are finding, we tried to start this like years ago and it was just like over their heads. And so now that they're a little bit older, they're finding that they're really enjoying it. So for my 4th grader, typically how we handle reading through this school year is that his assigned reading is whatever he's reading in Sunlight for the read aloud section. And those are very good, beautiful books that deal with hard issues sometimes. He's kind of phasing into that stage, a lot of historical fiction, stuff like that. But then I also let him in his free time and in his kind of afternoon relaxed time, I let him read kind of whatever he wants. Obviously, I kind of skim those and make sure that they're appropriate, but I let him choose from the library whatever book kind of suits his fancy for the time. So for the summer, I want to continue that where he's reading a book that I have chosen that I feel like he needs to read, even if it's something that he wouldn't necessarily choose to read. And then he can also be reading stuff on his own. So the 3 books that I've chosen for him to read this summer are Henry and the Chalk Dragon. This is by Jennifer Trafton, and it's about, I've never read it, but it is about a boy who has to be courageous in his artwork and becoming an artist and kind of what that means for him and kind of bringing this dragon to life. Then Edge of Extinction. This is the first in a series, and this is by Laura Martin, and I've heard great things about it from the Read Aloud Revival, so I'm going to encourage him to start that series. If he doesn't love it, I won't make him read past the first book, but I want him to at least try the first book. And this kind of has a Jurassic Park feel to it. They've, kind of brought back the dinosaurs, and so it's very, of course, adventuresome. And the last one that I want him to read this summer is Where the Mountain Meets the Moon. This is by Grace Lynn, and it's kind of a fantasy and folklore tale of going on an adventure to see the man in the moon. So maybe not something that he would pick, but I think he'll get a lot out of. So I'm not exactly sure what he'll choose for his independent reading this summer. I would have said last month that he would continue on in the Wings of Fire series. However, something very unfortunate, I just now was informed that they have started to introduce homosexual relationships within the Wings of Fire series, which is not something that I want to promote in my children, which is kind of sad because we've really enjoyed the series so far. Well, my son has, I haven't been reading them, but I've been, kind of researching them online. And, at the time when I was doing the deep, heavy research of them, I don't think all of the books were out yet. And so I just kind of wrongfully assumed that they would just kind of follow in the same trajectory. But I guess farther along in the series, they kind of sneak things in there, and it's not really up front and in your face, but it's definitely there. And I think that's what kind of this infiltration, I think that's where literature is going. I don't think, of course, they have the very upfront books that make it very obvious that they are promoting homosexuality and the LGBTQ agenda and all of that. But I think there's a lot of literature coming out that it's more subtle. And so to kind of desensitize children to that lifestyle and to those choices that we don't approve of. I mean, we love all people, but I just don't want that glorified in my children's literature. We're gonna have to find some other books that he loves. So if you have any suggestions, let me know. For my second grader, this is the year for him that he's really getting a grasp on reading well, but he gets fatigued if there is not enough pictures, and if there's just tons of words on a page, he just gets overwhelmed and doesn't want to read it, even though he could. And so I am just continuing series with him that I know are at his level, some a little above, some a little below, that have a lot of pictures, that are shorter in length, so that he can feel more accomplished as he, gets through those shorter chapters. He can feel like, oh, I did another chapter, So we are gonna go through the Little Bear series. This is a little below his level, I think, but those were just such good books for me when I was a kid. I loved the Little Bear stories. And so I'm just gonna encourage him to read those. We're gonna do things like Flat Stanley, Magic Tree House, the Amelia Bedelia series, the Boxcar Children, stuff like that I know are clean and good, and I can just hand to him, and he will feel accomplished in reading them because they are shorter. And then he also has been loving the Dragon Master series, so I'd assume that would be some of his choice when I let him choose his own books. As far as my 3-year-old, of course, I'm not going to assign him any reading because he doesn't read yet, but some books that I for sure want to get to with him over the summer are Farmer Duck by Martin Waddell. This is about, the lazy farmer who doesn't want to take care of his farm, so the duck kind of steps up and does it for him. And he has been really interested in farm life lately, I think because of the spring unit that we did with Purely Preschool. And so along those lines, we're also going to be reading Hattie and the Fox by Mim Fox, where Hattie sees a fox in the bushes and no one else can see it. And then we're going to start in on the Jessie Bear series. This is a series that I'd never actually read with my kiddos, my older boys, but I started reading some of them when I was teaching at our co-op, teaching preschool, and they are so, so cute, and I think my 3-year-old would love them. So we're going to start those by Nancy White Carlstrom this summer. And then the last book I want to get to is probably a little above his level, but I mostly just want to read it, so I'm going to read it with probably all my kids. Thundercake by Patricia Polacco. This is one of those books that I kind of forgot about, and I saw it on a reading list a while back, and I was like, oh my goodness, I remember loving this book. And it's all about facing fear head on and how to handle that. And Patricia Polacco just kind of has a special place in my heart. So I'm going to be reading that with all my boys this summer. So especially with a lighter school load, we will be having a summer filled with lots of books. And this is Mama's favorite time of year. And so not just because I get out of the homeschool routine, I actually like the homeschool routine, but I just love books so much. So let me know, what are your summer reading plans for this year, and subscribe if you haven't. Next up, I have a video coming up about scheduling, and I think it's a collaboration. I'm not 100% committed to that, but I'm pretty sure that's what I'll be doing next, so be on the lookout. Talk to you next time. Bye.